respiratory force, all right? Because if you
Hyperventilate. If you can, just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do it with me, ready?
Sentence you in case number 91-463 to death for the murder of Troy Burris.
Your wife and kids get
I would ask that you
right in
public
the
office. Now,
putting somebody who was raped to death.
This is Markeith Lloyd.
Now, we had to bleep some of that because he was cursing at the judge.
Who's in court for fatally shooting a police officer in Orlando, Florida. Lloyd was already on the run from the police after he killed his former girlfriend, who was pregnant with his child. About a month later, Lloyd walked into a Walmart. Just a short while after, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton from the Orlando Police walked in too. Surveillance footage shows them both crossing paths multiple times. When Lieutenant Clayton was returning to her car, she received a tip that Lloyd, a wanted murderer at the time, was just seen at the same Walmart. She re-entered the store to apprehend him, but when she got closer to Lloyd, he took out a gun and fired 4 shots, tragically ending the officer's life. Just 9 days later, a SWAT team would surround Lloyd's house to arrest the now suspected double murderer. If you pay close attention, with the help of infrared cameras, we can actually witness Lloyd moving on all fours as he makes his way to his arrest. Though Lloyd seems to have surrendered, during his arrest he suffered severe injuries to his face. Soon after, the media would speculate the officers took the chance to beat Lloyd because of what he had done to Lieutenant Clayton 9 days prior.
Why'd you do it? They beat me up. Where have you been hiding?
They beat me up.
Fast forward to his court appearances, Lloyd had actually lost his left eye and can be seen throwing tantrums and even threatening the judge during his proceedings.
Mr. Lloyd, watch your tone and the way you speak. Out. Out.
Then, Lloyd took the stand.
I never wanted that. I ain't never been there. All my life, I looked out for people. All my life, I did for my people. This city loved me. All my life. All my life. All I ever did, all my life. And when she made a move, I just was reacting to everything around me. He attacked me. He put my mindset somewhere else.
Where did your mind go?
In defense mode. I went in warrior mode. And I was just reacting. I was being attacked.
The jury ultimately recommended Lloyd to face the death penalty.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Markeith Lloyd, should be sentenced to death. Answer, yes.
Moments later, Lloyd would erupt again.
All right, why don't we remove Mr. Lloyd from the courtroom? Let's get him out, folks.
I'm raising a lecture back then for somebody else I have absolutely don't know nothing about. And they frame me.
Now, watch the moment Markeith would learn he will be spending the rest of his days on death row. Lloyd is currently on death row at Union Correctional Institution.
Why'd you do it?
They beat me up.
Lloyd was 41 when he was arrested and sentenced to death, unlike Dexter Johnson, who was only 19 when he was sent to death row.
Mr. Darnell Johnson, in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, this court hereby assesses your punishment of death.
According to police, Johnson and 4 others carjacked Maria Aparici and Hui Ngo, her boyfriend, in 2006. The teenagers held the couple at gunpoint while they robbed them and drove to a secluded area in Houston. Johnson then tortured Aparici before he and another teen fatally shot her. According to court records, her boyfriend was forced to listen to it all on his knees as the other attackers taunted him. Eventually, Johnson fatally shot Ngo as well. 5 days later, police would find the couple in the woods. Now, we fast forward to Johnson's sentencing. Watch as Johnson learns he is being sent to death row.
Dexter Darnell Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of capital murder. In accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, this court hereby assesses your punishment of death.
With tears streaming down his face, he takes one last look at his family. And And then it happened.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Keep it back! Keep it back! Everybody back!
In case you missed it, Johnson's rage consumed him, and he hurled a chair across the room, and the courtroom descended into panic. Two of his family members collapsed.
Come on, Wyatt. Watch it.
Come on, raise it up.
Johnson proves that even the most dangerous murderers don't want the death penalty. But what happens when the killer begs for it? Like in the case of Stephen Lorenzo.
So I'm asking you to give me the death sentence because that'll be more comfortable for me to live out my lifetime.
He was facing charges for multiple homicides in Tampa Bay, Florida. According to police reports, Lorenzo and accomplice Scott Schweikert collaborated to murder Jason Galehouse and Michael Wachholtz in his Seminole Heights home almost 2 decades ago. Lorenzo and Schweikert lured the victims to Lorenzo's home after getting them drunk at a bar. According to police reports, Galehouse and Wachholtz's cause of death was blunt force to the head. Both would later be ruled homicides. The victims were dismembered and placed in trash bins throughout Tampa. Now we go to Lorenzo's courtroom proceedings, where he is forced to face his victim's mother.
And I can tell you right now, I am sick of my stomach just to have to look at your disgusting face. And you pulled away and you laughed about it. Laughed! What the hell is wrong with you? You are a sick person, and I wish to God somebody would cut you up in pieces, because that's what you deserve.
Judge Christopher Sabella would then ask Lorenzo the same question everyone's wondering.
I just wanted to know why they're dead.
Mr. Schweikert wanted to have a video done of him having experience as a master he was trying, and I was videotaping it. Mr. Schweikert got carried away. He lost control. But anyway, he lost control. The kid started to scream and get all upset. We realized that the kid was going to probably call the police on all of us. So we had a powwow, and we said, this kid can't leave. He's going to identify all 4 of us. So that was why the decision was made.
Lorenzo shows no remorse for his actions, which infuriated the judge.
I cannot tell you how much what I hear from you infuriates me.
Before the sentence is read, the judge asks if anyone would like to speak. Lorenzo raises his hand.
Does anybody need to be heard? So nobody wants to speak?
Change of hands, yes, sir.
That's not a problem. Ready to proceed to sentencing. Oh, Mr. Lorenzo, yes, you're raising your hand.
No one was prepared for what the double murderer would say next.
At my age, I want to be comfortable. So I'm asking you to give me the death sentence. I know I can be on death row for about 10 to 15 years, which I think is crazy. The sooner that I get euthanized, as far as I'm concerned, the faster I can get, the sooner I can fetch myself a new body and come back again.
Stephen Lorenzo is actively seeking the death penalty. But would Judge Sabella grant the confessed murderer his wish?
And I don't know if what you say is perhaps some form of reverse psychology, nor do I care. I will not consider what you want in issuing my sentence. Ti condanno a morte. That translates to, I sentence you, Mr. Lorenzo, to death.
Lorenzo thanks the judge.
Thank you, Your Honor. I
And
appreciate it.
Mr. Lorenzo, may God have mercy on your soul.
My soul is fine. Thank you, sir.
Stephen Lorenzo took the life of 2 people he met at a bar.
Just to have to look at your disgusting face.
I'm asking you to give me the death sentence.
But how does that compare to taking the life of your own family? Like in the case of Tyrone Johnson.
Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do it with me, right?
Who is facing 2 counts of murder for the slaying of his then-girlfriend Stephanie Willis and her 10-year-old son Ricky. According to reports, Johnson and his girlfriend got into a heated argument over what the family would watch on TV.
You changed the TV? To football. Okay.
Johnson continued to sob as he explained the argument became far too personal when Stephanie blamed him for his son's recent suicide.
She said, I see why your son killed himself like because you're and I called him back and I said, come and get me.
Johnson then called his father for help, but it was during the phone call with his father that Tyrone lost it.
That he hears the phone drop and 2 shots.
On trial, Johnson argued that Stephanie's son Ricky ran into the room when he heard the chaos in the crossfire. However, prosecutors refuted this version of events.
He went and hunted down that little boy and shot him under a bed. We have shell casings, we have blood, we have holes in the wall.
Prosecutors say this was a cold and calculated double murder by Johnson.
During his sentencing hearing, Johnson was given the chance to speak. He was heard pleading for mercy and arguing his innocence.
Truly remorseful and deeply sorry. The state, knowing nothing about me, would have me believe that before you was a vicious man who went hunting for human lives.
Now, the victim's family get the chance to address the court.
Grief we feel is never ending. Every minute of every day.
We will never watch him grow up, never see who he would have become.
The judge went on to explain how atrocious the murders were.
Suffice it to say that a precious child is dead. This murder was heinous, atrocious, and cruel.
And now, the sentence.
For those acts, I sentence you to death.
Johnson bursted into tears. At least Johnson was able to admit his crimes were wrong. However, the same can't be said for Frazier Glenn Cross.
To carry out the sentence of death.
However, one day, my spirit will rise from my grave and you all know that I was right. However.
Cross is a 74-year-old self-professed white supremacist and former Ku Klux Klan member who's facing charges for the murder of 3 people after going on a shooting spree at 2 Jewish centers in Kansas City.
Do you recall saying that the Jews will remember my name?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
Cross surrendered only hours later in a nearby grade school, but was heard screaming obscenities from the back of the police car. During the proceedings, Cross chose to represent himself, and the resulting trial was filled with drama, with proceedings being halted on a number of occasions due to his countless interruptions and lack of remorse.
But I do apologize to those who died, and I thought they were Jews. I wouldn't have shot them otherwise. If there is a God up there, God, you know that what I did and what's in my heart is righteous, is honorable, is moral. And therefore, God, you will reward me.
Later in the proceedings, Cross would be heard threatening the jury and daring them to sentence him to death.
You know, I don't fear you. Look at me in the eye. You fear to fear me. So give me your best shot. Give me death, I dare you.
After a long trial, Cross is read his sentence.
For capital murder. To carry out the sentence of death.
However.
As Cross was being wheeled out of the courtroom, he erupted again.
My spirit will rise from my grave and you all know that I was right. However.
Cross didn't believe his killings were wrong, something he and Michael Brady have in common.
I stabbed him like 4 to 8 times. When I punched her in the face is when she fell down.
A 30-year-old who was serving a 24-year prison sentence for shooting a North Carolina highway patrolman 4 times in 2013. Only 4 years into his sentence, Michael and 3 other inmates attempted a prison escape that resulted in the death of 4 prison workers at Pasco Tank Correctional Institution in North Carolina. This surveillance footage covers Brady and his 3 accomplices just moments before they would begin their attempt at breaking out.
Surveillance video shows Michael Brady in the moments before he and 3 other prisoners allegedly murdered 4 prison employees in their attempt to escape the Pasquotank Correctional Facility in October 2017.
In prison, Bradley worked in the sewing plant, so he had access to various weapons like hammers and scissors. If we rewind the footage here, you can actually see the moment Brady would hand off a pair of scissors to his accomplice. Only moments later, they would be seen following a guard to the back of the prison. When they appear back in frame, we see Brady's shirts covered in blood. Only moments later, they would strike again.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Pasitang Correctional Institution. We need you guys here right now.
Okay.
Beat them with stabbed them with scissors.
They beat them with hammers and stabbed them with scissors.
It was here the inmates would make a run for it. Security cameras captured the moment the inmates attempted to hop the prison's barbed wire fence, but were apprehended by armed guards. After the arrest, Brady would be seen with cuts all over his body from the barbed wire, with tears streaming down his face.
At one point, Brady, with tears in his eyes, gave some insight on why it happened, blaming his displeasure with the justice system.
During his trial, the prosecutors would argue Brady was the mastermind behind the operation.
We know who originated the plan. We know who led the plan. We know who put the actions in place to furtherance of the plan.
Brady seemed emotionless as they described the killing he had planned and executed.
That man, Michael Brady, beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
Then Brady took the stand.
You can ask me anything you want. I'm gonna tell the truth. How it was, whether it hurts me, whether it helps me. I don't care about that.
And sir, you don't believe you're crazy, do you?
No, I don't think I'm crazy, no.
Because your freedom meant more than their lives.
Yes. That's how I am until some big event, whether it's shooting a state trooper, whether it's trying to escape from prison, whether it's a serious fight, whether it's whatever. Once that big event happens, all the pressure's gone.
Now, Brady would receive his sentence.
A jury unanimously recommending that the defendant be sentenced to death.
Brady seemed emotionless as he was given the death penalty.
I stabbed him like 4 to 8 times.
However, the same can't be said about Eileen Wuornos.
May your wife and kids get
I would ask that you would point
right
to the office.
putting somebody who is
who's in court for the murder of 7 men in Florida. By the age of 14, Eileen had a criminal history, was addicted to various drugs, and to top it all off, she was pregnant. She was kicked out of her house and forced to fend for herself. She quickly resorted to selling her body for money. This led to her eventual distaste and hatred for men. In 1989, Eileen decided it would be easier to kill her clients and rob them instead of the previous work she was doing.
She tricked her victims by posing as a damsel in distress. The men thought they were helping her out. Either way, the second fact on which everyone agrees is that Lee Wuornos shot them dead.
In 1 year, Eileen had taken the lives of 7 men. She kept them all a secret until one day she told her romantic partner, Tyria Moore, who eventually betrayed her to the police.
We were sitting on the floor watching TV, and she just come out and said, "I have something to tell you." And I asked her what, and she said that she had shot and killed a man that day.
Wuornos was arrested in 1991 after the police tracked her to a sleazy biker's bar. Initially, Eileen denied the accusations. She claimed that the murders were in self-defense.
I am sorry that my acts of self-defense ended up in court like this, but I take full responsibility for my actions. It was them or me.
Was it self-defense?
Yes, but I can't tell anybody.
However, her argument would quickly be debunked.
It was impossible to be a self-defense argument. We were able to prove that in several of them, the men were actually running away from her. They were shot in the back. In one instance, a man was prone on the ground. His vertebrae had been severed. He was paralyzed, and she shot him in the head from a downward angle.
Soon after, Eileen confessed.
Go ahead and put the electric chair to me. I should have never done it, she told police.
Now, we go to Eileen's sentencing.
I sentence you in case number 91-463 to death for the murder of Troy Burris. Case number 91-304, I sentence you to death for the murder of Charles Humphreys. Case number 91-112, Citrus County case number. I sentence you to death for the murder of David Spears.
Eileen received 3 death sentences. What happened next was one of the most revolting comments ever made in court.
By you
May
or the
your
public
wife and
defender.
kids get
I would ask that you would
Right
point
in
to the
the
public defender's office.
I know I was you ain't nothing but a bunch of scum.
Therefore, these proceedings are now
Putting
concluded.
somebody who is to death.
Eileen was responsible for a 7-man killing spree that lasted a year. But how does that compare to murdering your childhood best friend? Like in the case of Timothy Mosley and Austin Myers. They were both convicted of the murder of their 18-year-old childhood best friend, Justin Back. In 2013, Mosley convinced Myers to help him break into Justin's house in order to steal money from Justin's dad.
He told me about Justin's house and his stepdad, saying he has a safe, he keeps it cracked open, and he has a gun and a lot of money.
What seemed like a robbery would soon turn into a horror story.
So we were thinking, a quick job, in and out, boom, make some money. And then we came up with the plan of taking out Justin. So I started to freak out. I'm just like, shit, this isn't going as planned. I don't know what to do. It's too late to take it back. Right. So, not knowing what else to do, I pulled out my knife because it was right here in my pocket. I had my cargo shorts on, and I started stabbing him in the back.
Justin was trying to fight back, but it was 2-on-1. He never stood a chance.
Justin was trying to ask us why. He was pleading to stop, and pretty much begging for his life.
According to police reports, Justin ended up being stabbed a total of 21 times. During the trial, Mosley provided testimony against Myers in exchange for a plea deal.
What did Austin say in response to these questions and statements that Justin Back is making as he's attempting to kill him?
In the lines of, it's all right, it's almost over.
Mosley later explained that Justin was also strangled with a choke wire.
The idea of strangling him, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle.
Mosley pleaded guilty and received a life sentence in prison. He was remorseful in court. With Mosley's guilty plea, it was Myers' turn to take the stand. He began by addressing Justin's parents.
I'm sorry that this happened. I know that doesn't bring Justin back, but I'm sorry. I hate for any family to go through such pain and suffering as this.
Then, Austin asked the jury to spare his life.
If you choose for me to die, it's only going to cause more pain and suffering for another family. Not me. It won't hurt me. I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people. The terrible events of this past January have caused more than enough pain already. If you kill me, it won't fix anything. It won't bring Justin back. It's only going to hurt more innocent people. All I'm asking you for is a chance for me to become a better person.
Then, Justin's father got the chance to speak to his son's murderer.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son Justin.
This is moments right before Austin learns he would become the youngest person sentenced to death in the state of Ohio.
The court finds that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the aggravating circumstance outweighs the mitigating factor. Therefore, the sentence of death shall be imposed upon Austin Gregory Myers on the charge of aggravated murder.
Austin remained emotionless as he was sentenced to death. However, the opposite can be said for the case of Martez Abram.
Stop it. Look at the screen, sir. Yes. That's you shooting him. Yes. And you admit that you shot him in cold blood? Yes.
Who's facing a double murder charge in South Haven, Mississippi. According to reports, Abram had been a grocer at Walmart for 20 years before he was suspended for showing another employee a knife he had on him one shift. Hours after Abram was suspended, he came back to work with multiple weapons before unleashing a barrage of bullets, killing Anthony Brown and Brandon Gales, 2 managers on duty. Then, Abram set a fire and tried to flee. But on the way out, he encountered an officer who he also shot, but survived due to his bulletproof vest. In court, Abram was forced to watch the video of his murders.
Yes. Look at it, please, sir. Yes. All right, proceed. Stop. Mr. Gale, is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Abram admits to all of his crimes, but soon after, he's seen backpedaling, claiming that he doesn't remember anything from the day of the crime.
I remember running in. I remember that. And I remember running out. But it had got to a point to where I was scared that somebody was that I was going to get hurt.
It took the jury less than an hour to reach a verdict. Now, let's watch the judge hand down Abram's sentence.
In count 1, I will sentence you to death. Count 2, you will be sentenced to death.
Martise Abram showed no reaction as he was sentenced to death. But how does that compare to killers mocking their victims' families? Click here.